AITA for tracking my wife's car and catching her red-handed with another man? My wife, Megan Lawson, who is 35, has been unfaithful to me. I am 37. I discovered this recently, and although I spent a lot of time wondering if I was misinterpreting the signs, after sitting with it for a long time, I am 99% sure she is cheating on me. I have read many stories about men who discover the same thing. But one thing they do not talk about enough is how much it hurts. We have been married for 9 years, so that definitely plays a huge part in my pain. You think you know someone, you think you will make it to the finish line, but since you cannot truly control what another person does, you can never be certain about anything in a marriage. Guys, that is all I can say. I do not know how long her affair has been going on, but it is clear there is something big she has been hiding. I am sure it is another man. This is a woman who used to be as close to me as any wife could be. I am biased, of course, but I truly believe she used to be the best wife anyone could ask for. Suddenly, Megan started acting distant. I tried to figure out what was wrong with her. Of course, I went through every line of questioning that exists and even suggested we could go to therapy if there was something she was not happy with. But I was told that everything was perfectly fine. We used to stream shows together after dinner, anything really, but suddenly she was tired a lot. She would either not join me or leave much earlier than usual. The times I have gone to the room to ask what was wrong, I have always found her on her phone texting, but she would stop when I walked in. She would make it seem like she was stopping to give me her attention, but that is not it. I have known her long enough. She listens to me, but she finishes what she is doing and then gives me her full attention. On top of that, she does not want me to touch her as much. When the first of us gets home, we share a hug and a kiss, and a lot of the time we cuddle on the couch for a bit before cleaning up the kitchen, but that has stopped completely. The time I tried to hug her after she got back from work, it seemed like she was trying to break free from me. She went to shower immediately after. If I had been in a playful mood, I might have taken it as me smelling bad enough for her to clean up right away. But no, she was clearly in a strange mood. And when I tried again the next day and got a similarly cold response, I knew something was wrong. I stopped bothering with the after-work hugs, and she did not seem to miss them. I think the final piece of the puzzle for me is the fact that once or twice a week she comes home late and always has some excuse as to why. She usually has something to back up her excuses, but she never used to come home late so often. That is another reason I am so confused about what is going on. It is probably the biggest piece of the puzzle because it is precisely what allows her to actually be with someone else. Staying out late to meet someone and coming up with some excuse. Coming home and refusing to be touched by me. Probably because she is afraid I will notice something or because she feels guilty. Finding her texting some mysterious person instead of sitting with me and streaming shows like we usually do. It all points to a wife who has someone else on the side, and clearly, that person means much more to her than I do, because I am the one being neglected. Like I said before, it hurts. But to be completely honest, I would rather she just be real and tell me what is going on. Let her go and be with him instead of putting me through this pain. I would rather not be the husband treated like the one on the side. It is not a great feeling. Although she has always been honest with me throughout the time we have been married, and even when we were dating, I do not want to just confront her, because if she chooses to lie, it just means I will never find out the truth. The moment she chooses to lie to me, there is absolutely no way for me to find out the truth. She will clean up the evidence, cut ties with him, and all I will be left with is a lot of doubt. However, if she really wants to be with him, she might actually tell me the truth so we can end things and she can go be with her new partner. I really do not know what is going on in her mind, but I am sure there is infidelity. Writing this, I can say I am 100% sure. No, 99. If any of you think I am way off, let me know, but I doubt I am. I am going to find out, though. I have to for my own sanity. Update 1. Well, this is sort of a follow-up to my last post. It seems I have figured it all out. It was exactly as bad as I thought it was. I confirmed that Megan is cheating on me. And to be very honest, it hurts much worse than when I was sure, but it was still just a suspicion. Knowing for a fact that she has been having an affair after 9 years of marriage is enough to hit anyone hard. I would assume she really did her best to keep everything a secret. She did not want to get caught that much, but sadly for her, she was not careful enough. I have always considered myself very good with puzzles and logic, and the first thing I did to figure things out was to find out the days she chose to stay out late. I started logging them because I wanted to have a very solid basis for accusing her of cheating on me. That is when I noticed she comes home late one day 1 week, then 2 days the next week, and then 1 day after that. It alternates like that, always on Tuesdays and Thursdays too. Why? I do not know, but I know that has been the pattern. This may sound like I am being overly suspicious, but I was checking her car's odometer too. On a regular workday, when she comes back early enough, she drives about 7 miles in total. On the days she comes back late, it is usually over 10 miles. Whether she says she stopped somewhere or just had things to finish at work. If she had things to finish at work, she should be driving 7 miles, but there is an extra 3 miles in there. You can tell me I am being crazy, but I am convinced that every Tuesday or Thursday where she stays out late without fail, she drives much more. That is how I found out she was going somewhere else, and that only solidified my knowledge that she was cheating. The only thing left for me to figure out was exactly where she was going. I did think about hiring a private investigator, but I ultimately decided I could figure it out myself and save some money. How I found out was incredibly simple. I have an old Android phone that I do not use anymore. So I charged it up and turned on its GPS. If you know Google Maps, you know the timeline feature. It was going to tell me all the places the phone had been. The only thing I had to do was set up the cellular data, which I did. I uninstalled all the apps and put it on silent. And when she got back from work on Monday, I hid the phone in the back seat of her car, where I knew she simply would not find it. On Tuesday night, when she got back, I managed to retrieve the phone and check the timeline to see where she had been that day. Just as I expected, she went to work in the morning, and around the time she was supposed to be coming home, she traveled to a nearby part of town and was there for about 1 hour before heading home. I checked the area on the map, and it was clearly a residential neighborhood. Either she has a very secret friend she does not want to tell me about, or she is cheating on me. Either way, she is lying every time. That time she told me she went to see her friend who had recently given birth. A friend did give birth recently, but that is not where she lives. So with everything now, it is very, very clear that Megan is cheating on me. I tried to check her phone, but I did not have enough time and had to come up with some excuse for why I had it. It is time to confront her. I do not know how I am going to do it, but I know where she goes on those days. So it seems all that is really left for me is to surprise her. I will get the absolute truth the moment I do it, and I think that is enough for me. I will be ready for my heart to be broken, as it probably will be, and I will also be ready to document everything. Update 2. This is another update to the story I told in my previous post, and the one that came before it. Before I get into this, I will make it clear that I had already met with a divorce lawyer before I even chose to go and confront Megan. I wanted real confirmation of her affair, like messages or actual evidence. I did not have that, but I am smart enough to know from all the pieces I had gathered that she was indeed cheating on me. I did not want to confront her without the divorce process already starting. Once I had the lawyer sorted out, I chose the day I was going to confront her. As soon as work was over for the day, I headed to the neighborhood that Google Maps had indicated she had gone to. I parked my car far from the actual location and just waited for a long time because I knew she was going to show up. I was sure of it, and it paid off because I saw when her car arrived and pulled into the driveway of the exact house. I watched her get out of the car and go into the house, and I took pictures of all of it. I did not plan it, but on impulse, I called her, acting unsure of where she was. She apologized and told me she was going to be home late that night. She also claimed she was stuck at work for a while, but would be back in about 1 hour or so. I recorded that call. I knew she was not going to be able to come up with an excuse when I confronted her on her way out, because I had already forced her to lie. It took exactly 56 minutes after she went inside for her to come out of the house again. And when she did, she came out with a man. They were very comfortable with each other. He was behind her, and his hands were on her shoulders as she walked to the car. He was only wearing an undershirt and boxer shorts. It was heartbreaking and shocking to see. This was a woman I really thought I loved. I did love her, but it was clearly taken for granted, and that is what hurt the most. I had opportunities to step outside the marriage, but I never took them. That is the massive difference between her and me. I did not even have that much time to reflect on it because the whole plan was to confront her before she left. So I got out of my car and walked toward them. She was in the car by that point, so it was her partner who saw me walking toward them first. She could not see who he was looking at. He said, "Can I help you?" And I replied by telling him I needed to talk to the person in the car. He said, "Why?" And I casually mentioned that she was my wife. I moved him aside and opened the car door, and she looked like she had just seen a ghost. Her eyes were wide, and she covered her mouth with her hands. The whole time, my phone was in my breast pocket recording because I needed the entire confrontation. I felt a strong wave of hurt and anger when her first instinct was to say, "Baby." Her partner wanted to approach me, but she got out of the car and stopped him. Seeing them like that was so painful. I did not care about making a scene, even though it was getting a bit late. I told her that she had completely betrayed me and shattered the trust in our marriage. She had been lying to me for months at that point. I told her I had figured it out a long time ago, and all I needed to do was confirm it, which I had just done. She claimed it was not what it looked like and that I needed to give her a chance to explain. But when I stopped talking for her to say something, she could not come up with anything that made sense. She started claiming he was just a friend, and then I asked her why she lied about being at work. Her next excuse was that she knew I would not like the idea of her with a male friend. The first thing I did was point out that she had other male friends, particularly the ones she had known before we started dating, and I never made an issue about them. I also pointed out that if her male friend was barely dressed when she was around, there was probably a reason for me to be suspicious. She had lied to me for months and wanted me to believe it was all for a male friend. Her partner just stood there. I do not know if he knew about me or not, but he did not say a word the whole time. I told her she should not come home. That night she could stay with him, but she was not welcome in our home. She started crying and panicking, but I just walked away toward my car. She got out of her car and started following me, begging me to forgive her and give her a chance to explain. But I did not. She was begging by my car window to the point where I drove off. True to what I said, she did not show up at the house. She just called and texted hundreds of times. I do not know if she actually stayed at his house or found another place. It is really none of my business anyway. I am just glad she did not come. I had her served with the divorce papers the next day. As I expected, she would not miss work, and that was accurate. Of course, that was enough to make her come over. I had not changed the locks, so I found her in the house when I got back. She stood up and started begging me immediately. She sounded like she was repeating herself because I kept telling her there was no point. I was not going to forgive her. She would not forgive me, and she knew it. I do not know why I did it. I still love you. I am sorry. Please believe me. I told her I believed she was sorry, as most people in her situation usually are, but that was not enough to fix anything. Eventually, after a lot of begging, she left the house crying hard. She realized there was going to be no room for her to be forgiven, and that alone was enough to let me know I had made the right decision. At this point, all that is left is for us to actually get divorced. I do not see her not ending up with some alimony. I make a lot more than she does. We do not have kids, and I am glad we never changed that decision. I will probably part with quite a bit, but that is okay. I will be free, and that is what matters most. Update 3. Again, another update. Thankfully, this should be the last one I will have to give. It was interesting keeping this series going, but I am tired and just want to focus on rebuilding. So I will let you know how things ended between Megan and me. She is now officially my ex-wife. The divorce was not as messy as I expected. To be completely honest, it was pretty smooth. Apparently, she has a conscience. She really wanted us to work something out instead of going to court. So we did. We decided on the terms of alimony and the payments. Both were much more favorable to me than they could have been if we had chosen to have a judge divide things. I think a big reason she was so eager can probably be linked to the 2 times I ran into her in town. Once at the grocery store, and another time literally walking in the park. She looked extremely uncomfortable. She did not say hello to me, and I did not either. As much as she wanted to step outside our marriage, it is clear she has no idea how to handle the consequences. Once the divorce was finalized, I heard from one of our mutual friends that she had moved out of town. She had told the friend when they came to pack up her things from our house. It was surprising to me, but I was glad she felt so uncomfortable about it. About 1 week later, she sent me an extremely long message, expressing how sorry she was for what she had done. It meant something to me, to be completely honest with all of you, but it was never going to be enough to erase the pain she had caused me. I have moved on from her, and we are not going to be friends or anything like that after all this. That is the end for us. If it were not for the alimony arrangement, I would have blocked her immediately, but there may be reasons she needs to be able to stay in touch with me. So I am going to leave that channel open. I am not going to communicate with her unless necessary. I left her on read with that message she sent, after all. So that is pretty much it. Being cheated on is a hard thing to recover from, and there is a lot that happens afterward, especially when you are ready to end things. It hurts. It is never going to stop hurting completely, but it is worth it to free yourself. I have done that now, and all that is left is for me to get used to life alone again. I am sure I will be able to do that. So that is all that matters. Comment. I wanted to take a moment to share what's been on my mind lately. Protecting your own self-respect is something we should never compromise on. When trust is broken, it's okay to choose your peace and walk away with dignity. Setting clear boundaries shows real strength and self-love. True healing begins once we take responsibility for our own well-being. Be kind and patient with yourself while you process the pain. You deserve relationships that are built on honesty and mutual respect. Taking time to reflect on what matters most to you can bring clarity and strength. Remember that choosing peace is never a loss. It's an act of courage. I hope this encourages you to prioritize your happiness and know that brighter days are ahead. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.